And welcome back to This Is Your Man Warrior, and I am doing another character review. This one is of Barriss Offee, a light side Jedi healer, and she is unequivocally the best healer in the game. So this is definitely a phenomenal character that you could use in pretty much any area and every area of the game. I've even used her in the raids. I know a lot of people are now shaking their head, saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe you do that. No, I have, especially when you get into tier 4 where all bets are off and it's just, you know, balls to the wall. You're trying to do as much damage as you can. She keeps some of my characters in the fight for an extra round or two because of her health and protection and her amazing healing abilities. So definitely, you know, especially when you're in phase 4, just blitzing, going crazy, she's kind of fun to throw in there and maybe help some of those other characters get an extra hit or two in. So that is awesome. She is, for the purpose of this video, a 7-star, max level 80, max gear, max level 10. Her stat base power is around 7984. I have her approximately 1,000 power higher, and that is through mods. And then her speed, her base speed is about 116, which is not fast at all, but it is not super slow. You do not need a ridiculously fast Barriss anyway. Her base health is 24,000. That is a lot. She's very, very tanky, which if you're going to have a healer, you want them to be very, very tanky so they stick around, as well as when their healing is more efficient. She is very, very easy to gear. She only costs about 327,000 credits to gear from start to finish, which is great. She only has 2 raid gear parts, which is awesome. That is below average. That is just a couple of pieces to toss in there. One of which is right here, this security scanner. She has one of those there at gear 10, and then she has one on the previous level to get to gear 10. So it's just one on gear 9 to get her up to gear 10, and then one on gear 10 to max her out. And she only takes 530 purples, which anything below 600 is great for characters because 600 is average, and there are many characters that are over the 600 threshold. So the average 600, 650-ish, she's below that average at 530, so very, very cool. Now, she is a character that initially, at the beginning of the game, is hard to get your hands on. I know they offer like a bundle pack where you can buy her and you get her at 4-star, but even if you do that, she's kind of stuck at 4-star indefinitely until you can get high enough. So where do you find her? Well, you got traditional farming methods in the dark side battles on the hard side, which dark side is definitely harder than the light side, and dark side hard is definitely harder than the easy mode battles. So, you know, it takes a while. You're going to have to be somewhere between levels 65 and 70 to really be able to get to these nodes, and you're going to have 5 really good dark side characters to make it to these nodes. Now, the easier way to do it is the neutral battles out of the cantina. You can get to node 6A. She's the very first node on 6. So if you have your team at level 70 or above, your arena team at around 70 or above, this is an easy win. Actually, you could be around 67, 68 and probably win this node. So after you've played this game for a couple of months, 2, 3, 4 months, and your arena team is, you know, somewhere in the ballpark of 30K, 28 to 32,000, you could definitely unlock her. And then once you do that, you can grind her out very, very, very fast using this method with Cantina Energy. So this is how I would recommend doing it. Although if you happened to get the 5 dark side, the 5E and 5C dark side battles unlocked first, you could start grinding her out this way. She has an overall Galaxy Star rating of 5. I know I catch a lot of flack on that. However, I did make sure to place a type of character in the 5-star rating from every type of character, and she is the absolute best healer, and she's usable in every area of the game. So it would only make sense that she has a 5-star rating. She did score surprisingly very high, and I know a lot of people say she hits like a wet noodle, but if you've seen my Qui-Gon Jinn video, or if you watch this video till the end and you see her test driven, she actually crits quite a bit. Surprisingly, it kind of boggled my mind how she hits hard, and she hits for 5 to 6 grand when she crits, which is more than a lot of characters in the game, to be honest. And once you see her attacks and abilities, you'll realize I don't even have her damage maxed out yet. So that is something definitely to consider with Barriss. So now that you know where you can get her and you know about the gearing and you know how to gear her up, let's go ahead and take a look at her stats and abilities. Again, a Galaxy rating of 5. She's definitely the best character in the game for a healer. So the first one's called Invigorating Strike, and if I Omega it, it adds 15% damage, which is awesome. So I'm not going to Omega this. She's not that important to me to do that much more damage, but because her purpose is of a healer. But if you did do this, she's definitely going to hit for 15% more damage. But she'll deal physical damage to a target enemy and 45% chance for all allies to recover 6% of her max health. Now keep that in mind, max health. She needs to have a high health, because the higher her health is, the higher that 6% is going to be that everybody else gains. And so that's awesome. About basically half the time when she hits, for half the time, you know, everybody on the team is going to gain life. That is her basic. Gain life half the time on her basic. That is awesome. So I love Invigorating Strike. The second one is called Force Healer. I did not have it Omega'd, but it is awesome to do so. All allies have their current health percentages equalized. That means health equalizing will ignore the healing immunity that is so popular with the B2 or Jedi Knight Anakin, or with Darth Sidious, which a lot of people see Darth Sidious in the Galactic War. And so this is going to be a workaround. This is the only healer that has a workaround for the health blocks. And so that is another reason what makes her the best. But after she equalizes everybody's health, then every ally is going to gain an additional 15% of their max health. So everybody is going to be equalized. So if you have some tanks on the team that haven't really taken much damage, but you got that attacker like Rey, just critical, when she does her healing, all of a sudden Rey's back to perfect, because they're going to equalize that health, and you've got those higher health characters such as herself or tanks to steal from to equalize, and it's awesome. So I love her healing, and you know, she gets to use it every 4 turns. That's not bad at all for a healer. You know, every 4 turns or so is about average for a healer in the game. And if you Omega it, when she does this, not only do they recover 15% of their max health, but they'll also get defense up. So not only does it help them recover in health, but it makes them tankier, harder to kill the next time that people try to kill them. So that is a very, very cool and you know, very good healing ability. The No One Left Behind leadership ability, I use this literally on this account. I used her as my leader through Galactic War up until less than a month ago. And then a month ago, I switched over to my AoE team, and I've been just zipping through Galactic War now with my AoE team, my Wigs combo, my Wedge Biggs combo, and my Lando and stuff. But before I had them all max level geared and all that, she was my end-all be-all to get through Galactic War. And I tell you, she can single-handedly assure that your characters stay alive long enough to get through the Galactic War. So all Jedi allies gain 20% max health. Right at the beginning of this encounter, they're going to have more max health. That is awesome. Anybody else that's not a Jedi is going to get 10%. They're going to get half the amount of 20, which is 10%. So everybody becomes healthier, bigger. They become tankier, so to speak, right out the gate. In addition, at the start of their turns, all Jedi allies going to heal for 6% of her max health. Again, keep that in mind when you're doing mods, her max health. So the higher her health is, the higher they're going to gain. That 6% health gain at the beginning of their turn will be based off of her and how tanky her health is. So the other allies are going to heal half that amount. So they'll get 3%. Anybody who's not a Jedi, they'll get 3%. And if you Omega this, it goes from 6% to 8%, which is really, really good when you start to look at her stats, okay? So a lot of people say, how should you mod Barriss? Well, I've told you in the past in all of my videos, and by the way, if you've never seen my mod video, I highly recommend you watch my mod video. That gives you the very basics 101 on mods and how you should do them. But as you know, any healer should have health. That is their primary function. So that is what you want on them, is health. So my mods are good. They're not phenomenal. Of course, you can see I even have just a 1 dot on the bottom right. And I don't have a replacement for it yet, and I'm not really stressed about getting a replacement for it, but it is as good as it's going to get for now. So on the top left, she has offense as a primary stat. That's the way it'll always be. And then the rest, secondary stats, are not that good. On the middle left processor for defense, she's got, of course, defense is the primary, and it's got superficial secondary stats again as well. On the bottom right or bottom left, it's the data bus. It could be health or protection as a primary stat here. Really, you want to choose health because she is a healer, and all her abilities are based off of, her healing is based off of her health. Her, it equalizes everybody's thing, and then of course her special ability gives them 8% of her max health, or her basic gives 6% of her max health. So you want her max health to be high. This one does give her a little bit of speed because she is not that fast. It also gave her some protection, both almost 5% protection as well as 709 protection. So the two of those make her tankier as well with the protection. So that was a good add. The health receiver, I went ahead and added offense. I would have preferred a 5-dot health mod that was speed here or protection here. Speed because she's pretty slow, and obviously the faster she goes, the more she's going to be able to use her abilities. And with protection, if you add that in here, it will just make her damn near impossible to kill. She is a beast to take out. She takes a lot, and I mean a lot of damage before she actually goes. Of course, secondary stats has some protection, so that's all right. In the middle right, the hollow array, I added defense. Again, this one would be another slot where if I happened to have a health protection mod, that would just be devastating to the other team. I have seen Barriss with a ridiculous amount of protection, and since you're using this bottom left data bus as health, these two slots are great slots to do for your protection if you want to add protection to her. So those are good slots. Now I have defense. Defense is okay, but I would much rather have a protection slot in there for sure. The other thing is she hits for quite a bit, $5-6 grand when she crits. You could always increase her crit chance there, or you could always increase her critical damage there just to make her hit for even more, which would just be an absolute insult to whoever you're playing. If your Barriss was hitting for 8,000 or 9,000, that would just absolutely sting, especially since you can get her health and protection over 50,000. I have, yes, in fact, seen that. That is actually pretty easy with her to do. So she turns into a healing tank and that hits for a decent amount, which is rough to deal with for sure. On the bottom right, I currently put health in there because she's I wanted to increase her health. You could put in tenacity or potency. Obviously, a tenacity mod here, a 5-dot tenacity mod would be great. So that way, anytime someone's trying to stun her or anything like that, she can resist that. But I didn't have a tenacity mod, so I went ahead and went with health. Health is actually not a bad thing to put in here. And then, of course, you could always add protection again. I mean, you could really add, protection to the right or health to the right on all three of these: the multiplexer, the hollow array, and the receiver. And of course, the more health you give her, the harder it is to kill her, and the better her heals are. They're more efficient the higher her health is. And I would say that health is more important on her than protection, so that is why I did health on this bottom right and health on this bottom left. But you could definitely add the protection into these other two slots. So let's go ahead and look at her stats. Surprisingly, her strength is her highest, but that's just because she's, really tanky. Look at her health and protection. Actually, her health and protection are 55,000. 55,000, and I'm wrong. I've actually seen Barriss over 60k because the individual I saw was well over 5,000 more than my Barriss. And so if you look at that, I mean, that's nuts. 55,000 if I was to do the right mods and add a little more health and protection like I'm supposed to on her, if I had the perfect mods for her, she could easily be between 60 to 65k. That is in comparison with all the tanks that are in the game for sure, other than some of the tankiest of the tanks. And so that's definitely difficult. I got her speed up a little bit. Critical damage I didn't mess with. Her potency and tenacity, not as big a deal, although tenacity on anything like a Jedi is pretty good just because they're susceptible to some of the Empire's negative status effects. Her physical damage is currently at 2,200, which is surprisingly pretty good. Now, I did raise that by 343, so that is why I think my Barriss hits harder than most. Her armor rate, again, for a non-tank is very good. She is around 30% without any mods, but I got her up to almost 35% by adding the mods, you know, because she's at like 29% armor to start. So decent armor rate, and when you add a little bit of armor superficially through mods, it helps for sure. Her special damage does not drop off. It actually stays very close to what the physical damage was, so that is good. And of course, her resistance is decent at, you know, 24%. It's around 20% to start. So her stats, again, she is extremely tanky, but the higher you get her health, the better, more effective she's going to be on her Invigorating Strike, as well as her Swift Recovery, where people gain health. Oh, that was Swift Leader. I don't think I even did Swift Recovery. So, yes, I did not do her unique. Her unique, Swift Recovery, at the end of every one of her turns, she has a 40% chance, so almost half the time, to dispel one negative status effect from every Jedi ally and gain 9% turn meter for each effect removed. So she has a 40% chance to dispel it from each Jedi, and the 40% applies to each Jedi. So she's going to dispel one, maybe two each turn and get, you know, 9 to 18% turn meter, which definitely is going to speed her up a little bit. So Swift Recovery is awesome. Now let's go ahead and test drive her. Again, Mod Challenges is a great place to go. So we'll go Jedi. And this is the last team I used. Let's go ahead and switch her into leadership and put Qui-Gon there. As in my last video, I know a lot of people say, oh, the Jedi need rework, the Jedi need rework. The Jedi do not need rework. The Jedi, there are plenty of good Jedi. Matter of fact, these 5 Jedi I've got on here right now are awesome. I guess if I take these characters out too fast, you won't get to see any of Barriss's abilities. I probably should have brought in some weaker characters. So let's just do basics with everybody else. Now watch when she strikes, see if everybody gains life. Not on that time, although she did hit for quite a bit. Because it's about 40% of the time she's going to give them all gain life. Not that they need it, they actually don't need it at all. And he attacks twice, about a third of the time. I really should probably come in here with a bunch of subpar Jedi, so that way she's forced to heal, so you can see that. Yep, they both attack, and he gets to attack twice, a third of the time. I know a lot of people that like the IG-100 Magna Guard. I do not prefer him. I think that the B2 is a far better option for a tank for the droids. So there, everybody gained over 2,200 health. Now, none of them needed it, but on her basic, she gave them all over 2,200 health. They all gained over 2,200 health on her basic again. So if they were hurting, she would be definitely healing just on her basic without even using her heal ability. And again, over 2,200 on her basic. She's now 3 for 5 on her healing on her basic. Let's take our time. Let's go ahead and let these droids do some damage. So I'm just going to do basics on these B2s since they're difficult to kill. We'll just do basics. We'll let them tear us up a little bit. because he does a lot of damage. General Grievous does to Jedi. And he gets to attack twice. Again, I love Kit Fisto. I will definitely be doing a review on him sometime soon. I just need to get his attacks and abilities up. I really only have his attacks and abilities at level 3, and that is not really sufficient to showcase his capability. There's a counter. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let her hit this battle droid over here. And everybody gains life. Or health. She called an assist. She does that a percentage of time where she calls an assist as well. So that's pretty cool. Again, everybody gains health. You know, she doesn't even need her healing because she just constantly heals non-stop. She's absolutely amazing healer, and that is when she's in leadership position. It's pretty awesome, but her basic is what gives her that chance every single turn. Just a basic, and she gives heal. So that's where the health needs to be really, really high on her. So let's go ahead and do this again. Take this guy out. We'll take Grievous out last. There's an assist she called. We'll do basics only in hopes that he does a little more damage to my characters. So he does a health block on a couple of people, a heal block, so they can't gain life, but she can work around that with her heal. And there's another health gain for everybody, and there's an assist call. I was hoping for his AoE. And just for giggles, I'm going to go ahead and do the health heal. Make everybody perfect, and there you go. So she is absolutely awesome. She heals in a multitude of ways. She also takes off negative status effects and gets turn meter from those negative status effects. So that is pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and see what I got. Of course, it's a defense mod, and defense mods are a little bit less exciting to get. But it, of course, is a transmitter, so it's always going to be a primary set of offense. Now, it does have offense, speed, health, and potency, and all of those are decent secondary stats. Just for the video, why don't we go ahead and farm that one up and see what it turns into. I know it's a defense mod, so spending money on it, the credits on it, seems a little bit silly, but I'm curious now as to let's go ahead and go defense, and we just found it. It's right here. Let's go ahead and upgrade this. We start at 3 speed and a 2% potency and 44 on offense, which all 3 of those are great starting points. So let's just go ahead and start cranking it up. So offense has gone up, potency's gone up, speed has gone up. So not a horrible mod. If I was using defense mods on a particular character, of course the primary stat's always going to be consistently offense, but it will give them an additional secondary of 8 speed, which is not bad, and almost 4% potency. That's not bad as well. And then the offense of 72 isn't horrible either, because anytime you can add nearly 100 on offense is not bad at all. 72 is a decent add. And then, of course, health at 1.55% for anybody. That's just going to add to their overall health. That's not bad at all. So that was an okay mod, not bad at all. Anyway, as always, if you like my videos, please like, share, subscribe. And as always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.